You ever type something into Google and halfway through you think, if I die right now, I really don't want anyone finding this search history? Yeah, that was me. Last Tuesday night, there I was, a grown man in his pajamas, glasses at the end of my nose, staring at my phone at 11:47 p.m., typing the words, "How to please my wife," emotionally without making it weird. And just as I hit search, I heard the bedroom door creak open. Now, listen. There are moments in marriage where time slows down. The wedding day, the birth of a child, and the exact second your wife walks in while Google is still proudly displaying your desperate little question in big, bold letters. Hi, it's Henry. You're safe here. You can relax. 'Cause in this story, I'm the one doing the embarrassing stuff. And you just get to lie there, get comfy, and drift off to sleep while I relive it. So go ahead. Wiggle your shoulders into the pillow, let your jaw unclench a little. And if you're listening with someone you love, well, try not to look at them too suspiciously if they start laughing at the "how to please my wife" part. Now, let me set the scene for you. It was one of those evenings where everything felt slightly off. You know the kind. Nothing dramatic, no big argument, just tiny little misfires. I loaded the dishwasher wrong. I folded the towels aggressively. I said, "You look tired," which, in case any new husbands are listening, is apparently not a compliment. My wife was quiet, not angry, not sulking, just doing that calm, thoughtful quiet that says, "I love you, but you are vaguely annoying me right now." We watched a show together, but she was half on her phone. We brushed our teeth at the same time, but there was no playful bumping hips, no toothpaste on the nose kind of flirting. Just normal. A little too normal. The kind of normal that makes you wonder, am I doing this husband thing right? So later that night, she turned off her bedside lamp, rolled onto her side, and mumbled, "Good night, Henry," in that soft, sleepy voice that still make my heart squeeze after all these years. And I lay there staring at the ceiling, thinking, I want to do better for her. I want her to feel loved. I want to be, one of those husbands who just knows what to do. Unfortunately, I'm not one of those husbands. So I did what any modern, slightly clueless middle-aged man does when faced with a deep emotional question. I reached for my phone. I turned the brightness way down, like I was doing something illegal, and I started typing into Google, very slowly, very carefully, as if the phone might judge me less if I didn't hit the keys so hard. How to please my wife. And as Google lovingly auto-filled the rest, offering me a buffet of unhelpful suggestions, I thought, yep, this is my life now. Me and the algorithm, trying to save my marriage. And that's exactly when I heard the soft creak of the mattress and the quiet shuffle of feet behind me. And that's when I hear it, the soft shift of the mattress behind me. Not a big movement, just enough. The kind of tiny wobble that tells you two things. One, you're not alone. 2, you're probably about to be very, very embarrassed. I freeze, like my thumb is still hovering over the screen, mid-scroll, pretending it's invisible. Maybe she didn't see. Maybe she just sat up. People sit up all the time in bed. It's normal, totally normal, completely innocent. No one ever got arrested for sitting. I angle the phone slightly away from me, like that's gonna help. Now I'm squinting at my own screen, trying to read 10 ways to emotionally connect with your wife at a 45-degree angle, like I'm cheating on a test. Okay, Henry, options. Lock the phone, throw the phone, move to another country. I hear her inhale, slow, awake, definitely awake, and I think, please. Let this be one of those dreams where I wake up before the embarrassing part. She says my name the way people say, "Sir, are you aware your car is still in drive?" Henry? My spine does the polite little panic jolt. "Mm-hmm," I answer, in that fake sleepy voice we all use when we're 100% not asleep. "You okay?" she asks. I stare at the glowing screen for one more second. How to please your wife without being weird about it. Yeah. No, it's not staying up. I click the side button and the phone goes black so fast you'd think it owed me money. Yeah. I'm good, I say, turning halfway toward her, doing the casual roll, like I haven't just been Googling my own incompetence. There's a pause. The kind of pause that feels informed. "You've been really quiet," she says softly. "You're never this quiet unless you're either asleep or thinking too hard." Ouch. Called out by my own personality. I try a laugh. Can't a man just scroll nonsense in peace? She lets out a tiny, sleepy chuckle and shifts closer. I can feel her looking at me in the dark. Not suspicious, just curious, which is somehow worse. "What are you thinking about?" she asks. Soft, curious, no edge to it at all. If she had sounded even 10% annoyed, I would have lied. I know that about myself. I'm not proud of it, but I know it. But she doesn't sound annoyed. She sounds open, tired, warm, like she's asking because she actually wants to know, not because she's trying to catch me doing something dumb, which, unfortunately, I was. I stare at the blank black screen of my phone like it might somehow magically display something respectable if I hit the button again. There's this tiny war in my brain. One side is yelling, "Just say nothing, I'm fine, be normal, Henry." The other side is gently raising its hand like a shy kid in class. Or, you could try being honest for once, big guy. I take a breath. The kind of breath you take when you're about to say something you can't unsay. My voice comes out a little hoarse. "Okay, so I was Googling something." She goes quiet, not tense, just listening. I roll onto my back staring at the ceiling because I can absolutely not say this while making full eye contact. I am brave, but I'm not that brave. "You know how sometimes," I start, "you get this feeling like you're doing okay, but maybe also not really?" Smooth, Henry, very clear. Excellent communication. She makes a tiny humming sound. Vaguely sounds like a Being married to you, yes. That gets a soft laugh out of me, which helps. My chest loosens a bit. Well, I say, I was just trying to look something up. What kind of something? She asks, still gentle, still curious. Here it is, the jump. I take another breath because my brain likes dramatic pauses. I was Googling, I say slowly, how to please my wife. There's a silence. Not the heavy, oh no, what did you just say kind of silence. More like the kind where you can feel someone smiling, even if you can't see them yet. You are what? She says, and there's this tiny crack of amusement in her voice. I swallow. I was looking up how to make you happy, like, specifically, in all the ways, emotionally, physically, generally, broadly, spiritually, cosmically, whatever the internet offers. Now she lets out a real laugh. It's still quiet, but it's that laugh where her shoulders shake a little. In bed? She asks, teasing, just a touch. Mostly in bed, I admit, but also just in life. I don't know. I got on this spiral. I started with best surprise ideas for your wife, and then suddenly I'm 3 pages deep into 10 signs she's only pretending to enjoy your cooking. It escalated. She shifts closer, the mattress dipping, and I feel her hand slide lightly over my arm. Henry, she says, a smile wrapped around my name. You were Googling how to please me. Yes, I say. And no, I did not click on anything with the word spicy in the title, in case you're wondering. I stuck to the PG-13 stuff for research, academic, peer-reviewed, probably. She laughs again, a little snort slipping out, and I instantly feel 30% less ridiculous. I keep talking because if I stop, I might implode. I don't know, I say. Sometimes I feel like you're doing so much, and you're so good at things, and I'm over here putting the forks in the dishwasher upside down and calling that helping. And I thought, maybe the internet can give me a husband patch update. I can feel her looking at me in the dark. I can't see it, but I can feel it. That soft, focused look she gets when she's really listening. Henry, she says quietly, you're not failing. I know, I say quickly. I mean, not catastrophically. Just, I don't want to be fine. I don't want you 10 years from now lying here thinking, well, he didn't ruin my life. And sometimes he remembers my coffee order, so that's something. Her hand slides down my arm, fingers wrapping gently around my wrist. It's such a small touch, but it's grounding. Like she's saying, without saying it, you're not in trouble. What exactly did you Google? She asks, and now she sounds genuinely amused. Oh, I say, grimacing at the memory. Helpful, dignified phrases like, how do I know if my wife is secretly disappointed? And how to be less of a clueless husband without becoming a completely different person. She laughs so quietly, it's mostly just air, but I can hear the smile. And then, I continue, I went for the classic, how to please your wife without being weird about it. because apparently my brain was worried I'd show up with a PowerPoint presentation and a laminated checklist. She makes a choking sound, trying not to laugh too loud. Oh my God. I'm a man of nuance, I say. I like to do my overthinking thoroughly. She snuggles closer, her head on my shoulder now, hair tickling my neck. I feel her exhale against my skin, warm and slow. You know, she says, you could have just asked me. I stare at the ceiling again. Yeah, I say quietly. I know, but asking the internet felt safer. The internet doesn't look disappointed. It just gives you 27 conflicting answers and a pop-up ad for something you definitely don't need. She hums. And what did the wise internet say? Oh, it had a lot of thoughts, I say. Apparently, I should be surprising you with spontaneous weekend getaways, writing heartfelt letters, learning your love language, memorizing your Starbucks order, and also developing abs. A small snort. You're not getting abs, Henry. Thank you, I say. Finally, realism. She's quiet for a moment, just breathing. Her fingertips trace slow circles on my wrist, lazy and absent-minded. And did any of it help? She asks. I think about it. A little, I say. It helped me realize I was more worried than I thought, and that there are a lot of husbands out there also Googling how not to be terrible. I felt oddly comforted by the desperation of strangers. She chuckles softly. Solidarity and panic. Exactly. We lie there for a beat, the room filled with the soft hum of the night, the faint ticking of the clock, the distant whoosh of a car somewhere, the steady rhythm of our breathing slowly syncing up. It's actually peaceful. Even with my confession hanging in the air, it feels okay. Like the truth wasn't a bomb, it was more like opening a window. You know what my favorite part is? She says after a moment. That I closed all the tabs before you could see them. I guess. That you cared enough to open them in the first place, she replies. Something in my chest unclenches. I hadn't realized how tight it was until it loosened. I always care, I mumble. That's kind of my whole thing. I know, she says, but it's nice to be reminded. We sink into another quiet. I can feel sleep hovering at the edge of the room, peeking in, waiting for its cue. But I'm still buzzing, just a little, from the vulnerability of it all. Can I ask you something? She says. Apparently we're in the honest hour, I say. Go for it. When you were Googling all that, she asks, what were you afraid of finding? I let that sit for a second. It's a good question, which is very inconvenient for me. I think, I say slowly, I was afraid of finding out I've been missing something obvious. That there was this huge neon sign above our marriage that says, if Henry would just do this one thing, everything would be better. And somehow I never noticed it. And did you find that? She asked gently. No, I say. I found a lot of top 10 lists, a suspicious amount of stock photos of couples staring at sunsets, and an article that said I should listen more. which felt like a very passive-aggressive call-out from the universe. She smiles against my shoulder. I can feel it. You do listen, she says quietly. Sometimes, I say. But sometimes I'm also thinking about leftovers while you're talking, about your day. And then later I panic that I didn't remember every detail, and I'm actually a monster. Henry, she says, if you were a monster, you'd be the kind that apologizes for roaring too loud and then Googles how to roar more considerately. That is unfortunately accurate, I say. Her fingers move from my wrist up to my hand, and she threads her fingers through mine under the blanket. It's simple, warm, familiar. So, she says, do you want the actual answer? To how to please you, I ask. Well, she says, to how to make me happy, how to make me feel loved, safe, like you're not secretly failing a bunch of hidden tests you've invented in your head. I let out a breath that almost sounds like a laugh. Yes, I say, please. Ideally in a format that doesn't involve me doing crunches. Deal, she says. She shifts a bit so she's half on me, half next to me, propped up just enough that I can feel her breath against my cheek. Her voice drops softer, slower. It has that bedtime quality now, rounding off the edges of every word. First, she says, I like that you care this much. That already does a lot of the work. Okay, I say. Strong start. Low effort. I'm in. Second, she continues, I don't need surprise vacations or letters written with a fountain pen on artisanal paper. I was really banking on not having to find a fountain pen, I say. What I like, she says, ignoring me affectionately, is when you actually show up. When you put your phone down and look at me when I'm talking. When you laugh at my dumb jokes. When you come sit next to me on the couch instead of at the other end like we're in a waiting room. I thought you liked the waiting room aesthetic, I say. So mysterious, so distant. I like you near, she says, simply, like it's the most obvious thing in the world. Something warm spreads in my chest, like someone's slowly pouring hot tea behind my ribs. So, proximity, I say. Got it. Be physically present and also not emotionally on Mars. Exactly, she says. You're already good at that more than you think. But if you want a thing to work on, and I know you do, then that's one. When I talk, just be here. I can do that, I say. I mean, I'll definitely forget sometimes and wander off into a mental grocery list. But I can try very hard. I don't need perfection, she says softly. I married you, remember? Wow, I say. A roast and a compliment in the same sentence. Impressive. She smiles again, lazy and sleepy now. I can tell her energy is dipping, but there's more she wants to say. And in bed, I ask carefully, because I feel like there, especially the internet had a lot of opinions. She laughs quietly. I bet it did. I want your opinions, I say. Not the internet's. The internet doesn't lie next to me and steal all the blankets. I do not steal them, she says, offended in that very soft, pillow-muffled way. They come to me. I'm magnetic. You are, I agree. To blankets and to people who Google things about you. We lie there, breathing together for a moment. The air feels thicker now, not heavy, just full of something tender, vulnerable, but safe. In bed, she says, dropping her voice even more. What I like most is when you're not in a hurry. I blink at the ceiling. I am often not in a hurry, sometimes because I'm overthinking everything. Good, she says. Keep overthinking. Slowly. I let out a breathy laugh. I like when you check in, she continues. When you ask, do you like this or is this okay? Not in a nervous way. Well, a little nervous is cute, but in a we're in this together way. I can do that, I say. I can ask, I just sometimes worry it ruins the mood. It doesn't, she says firmly. It makes me feel safe, seen, like I'm not just along for the ride. Noted, I say. So, more questions, but not like a survey. Gentle questions, warm questions. Exactly, she says. And you don't have to be amazing. You just have to be present, playful, not in your head the whole time, evaluating yourself like a husband performance review. That is truly what it feels like in there, I admit. There are charts. She squeezes my hand. I like when you laugh with me, she says, even in bed, when something awkward happens, when we bump noses or the sheet gets tangled or the dog barks at the worst possible moment. I like when you don't make it weird, when you just laugh and keep going, or pause, or cuddle instead. I like the humanity of it. Okay, I say softly. So you like us, not some ideal movie version. I married you, Henry, she says again, like it's proof. I like you, not a Google article, not a checklist, not a perfect husband archetype who would probably annoy me in real life. That guy definitely has abs, I say. Oh, for sure, she agrees. And he wakes up at 5 a.m. to journal. I'd hate him. We both smile, the kind of smile you can feel, not see. So, I say, if you had to make a list just to make my list-loving brain happy, of like 3 things that most make you feel loved, what would they be? She's quiet for a long moment. I can tell she's actually thinking about it, not just tossing out the first fluffy answer. Okay, she says finally, 3 things. I tighten my arm around her just a bit, like bracing for impact, even though I know it's not that kind of list. 1, she says, when you notice me. Notice you? I repeat. Yeah, she says, like when you say, hey, I saw how stressed you were today. Or, you looked really happy when you were talking to your sister. Or even, you did a good job on that thing. Little comments. It makes me feel like you're actually looking, not just coexisting next to me. I swallow. Okay, I say. Notice you, out loud, not just in my head. Exactly, she says. 2, when you do small, practical things without making a big show of it. Like taking the trash out without me asking, or making me tea when I'm working, or plugging in my phone when I fall asleep on the couch. I do that, I say. Sometimes. You do, she says. And I always notice it's not about grand gestures. It's about you moving through the house like you know we share it. That's very poetic for take out the trash, I say. She laughs softly. It's very romantic trash. And 3? I ask. She nestles her head deeper into my shoulder. Her voice is almost a whisper now. 3, she says, when you let me see you like this. Like what? I ask. Soft, she says, a little scared, a little unsure, but still here, trying. Not shutting down, not pretending everything's fine when you're overthinking yourself into a knot. I stare at the ceiling again, eyes adjusting to the dim outline of the room. The familiar shapes of the dresser, the curtain, the slightly crooked picture on the wall we keep meaning to straighten but never do. Being soft feels like failure sometimes, I admit quietly. Like I should have already figured all this out. She shakes her head lightly against my shoulder. Being soft is honest, she says. And I'd rather have an honest husband who Googles how to please my wife at 11:30 p.m. than a pretend confident one who never wonders if he can do better. My eyes sting just a little. Not enough to cry, but enough that I blink a few extra times. That's a very high compliment, I mumble. It is, she says. Don't get used to it. We lie there in the comfortable hush that follows big feelings. The room feels slower now, quieter, like everything that needed to be said for tonight has found its way out into the air between us. Her breathing starts to change, longer inhales, slower exhales. Her body gets heavier against my side, a little sign that she's sliding closer to sleep. I feel lighter, like I've taken a backpack off that I didn't realize I was wearing. I confessed the weird Google search. She didn't laugh at me. She laughed with me. And then she gave me the actual guide I'd been too scared to just ask for. I look at the black blank phone screen again, sitting on the nightstand. Somewhere under that dark glass are a dozen open tabs I'll probably never read to the end. I'm starting to think that might be okay. Hey, I whisper, not sure if she's still awake. She hums, somewhere in that floaty place between waking and dreaming. Just for the record, I say, if you ever feel like, I'm not doing enough, or you want something different, you can just tell me. You don't have to Google how to fix your emotionally overthinking husband. She lets out a sleepy noise that sounds suspiciously like a chuckle. I'll keep that in mind, she murmurs. But you're enough, Henry. You really are. The words land softly, like a blanket being laid over me. Enough. Not perfect, not flawless, not the star student of a husband academy, just enough. And trying. I exhale, long and slow, matching my breath to hers. The room blurs a little at the edges. My thoughts start to stretch out, getting softer, less sharp. As I drift, one last stray thought floats lazily through my mind. Tomorrow, maybe I won't need Google to tell me how to make her smile. Maybe I can just ask her, and then remember what she says. My eyes close, the weight of the day finally loosening its hold. Beside me, her hand stays curled in mine under the blanket, warm, steady, there. And in that small, ordinary miracle of a moment, two people, one bed, shared blankets, shared worries, shared Google history. I feel something I was secretly searching for without typing it into any search bar. Peace. There's a quiet stretch of nothing. Just the dark room, the soft weight of blankets, her hand in mine, and that slow, steady feeling that maybe, for tonight, I haven't completely messed everything up. I feel my body starting to sink deeper into the mattress, that nice, heavy feeling. The kind that shows up only when your brain decides to stop running in circles for 5 minutes. I'm almost gone when I hear her voice again. Sleepy. Thicker now. Henry? I answer, halfway between here and somewhere much fuzzier. I just realized, she murmurs, if you were Googling how to please your wife, did you at least bookmark anything good? I huff out a tiny laugh. I panicked and closed all the tabs, I admit. I think the only thing I saved was an article about communication and a cookie notice I didn't accept. She makes a soft, amused sound. So no. Secret romantic master plan? Oh, there is a plan, I say. Step 1, Google. Step 2, spiral. Step 3, get caught. Step 4, lie awake overanalyzing everything. It's a very robust system. Very effective, she mumbles. 10 out of 10 would marry again. I smile into the darkness. Careful, I say. I'll add that to my mental review file. Under unexpected positive feedback. There's a rustle of fabric as she shifts even closer, like she's trying to merge completely into my side. Her leg brushes against mine under the blanket, bare skin to bare skin, warm and familiar. You know, she says, each word a little slower now. You could have just asked me one very simple question. Oh yeah? I ask. What question? She yawns. It's small and soft, like a cat stretching. You could have said, she murmurs. What makes you happiest with me, right now, as we are, not as we could be? That sits there between us, gentle, honest. I nod, even though she probably can't see it. Okay, I say quietly. Then I'm asking now. What makes you happiest with me, right now, as we are? She's quiet for a long moment. So long I think she might have fallen asleep mid-sentence. Then, very faintly, this, she whispers. I blink into the dark. This? Yeah, she says. You, here, next to me. Talking about nothing and everything. Not trying to fix everything at once, just being my husband, in a warm bed, in a safe house, on an ordinary night. I stare at the shadowy outline of the ceiling, feeling that answer settle in my chest like a warm stone. Seems too simple, I say softly. It usually is, she murmurs. You're the one who makes it complicated. On brand, I admit. Her breath starts to smooth out again, matching the slow rhythm of the room. Outside, some distant sound, a car door, a dog bark, a leaf skittering past the window, comes and goes. but none of it reaches the little bubble of quiet around our bed. I let my eyes close. My thoughts, usually loud and sharp and busy with charts and invisible report cards, soften around the edges. They lose their urgency and turn into slow, wandering things. A memory floats up. The first time we fell asleep next to each other on purpose, not on a friend's couch, not by accident during a movie, but actually deciding, okay, this is us now. This is our bed. I remember how small the room was, how the mattress squeaked every time one of us breathed, how I lay there, stiff as a board, thinking, what if I snore? What if I drool? What if I somehow ruin this just by existing horizontally? And somehow, I didn't. Somehow we just learned each other. The way she likes the edge of the blanket folded under her feet, the way I like one arm outside the covers, even in the middle of winter, the way she always curls slightly toward the middle of the bed, the way I sleep a little easier when I can feel her there, even if it's just the brush of her knee against my leg. I take a slow, deep breath, in through my nose, out through my mouth. I don't mean to do it on purpose, but my body does it anyway. Like it's checking in, hold, out. Her chest rises and falls softly against my side, just a fraction of a second off from mine. We're close enough in rhythm that it feels like a shared tide. My mind drifts again, this time to the phone on the nightstand, that little rectangle full of answers and anxieties. Somewhere inside it is my search history, a digital record of my insecurities, all spelled wrong because I type too fast when I'm nervous. How to tell if your wife is happy. How to be a better husband without being weird. Do wives actually like surprise flowers, or is that just TV? All those questions huddled together in one place. But the real answers are here, in the dark, in the quiet, in the weight of her head on my shoulder and her hand in mine, and the fact that, even after my ridiculous confession, she scooted closer instead of away. I let that awareness wash over me, slow and gentle, like warm water filling a bathtub, inch by inch. This is it. This is the life I keep trying to optimize, like it's an app that needs an update. And yet, here in the dark, it doesn't feel like an app at all. It feels like a well-worn sweater. Soft in the places that used to itch, stretched where it needs to be. A little faded maybe, but warmer because of it. Her thumb moves once against my hand, just once, a tiny, absent-minded stroke of skin on skin. You still awake? I whisper. There's a pause, then a very tiny, very sleepy, barely. One last thing, I say, my voice a little lower now, almost a rumble. Then I'll stop interrogating you. She makes a soft sound that I decide to interpret as consent. Thank you, I murmur, for not making fun of me, for the Google thing. She hums. Easy target, too sleepy. I smile. And, I add, for telling me the actual truth, your version, not the internet's. She exhales, long and slow. Any time, she whispers. Next time, start here. Then Google if you must. Deal, I say. The words drift into the dim air and settle there. like another soft layer of blanket over us both. I feel the room growing even quieter now. The edges blur, the shapes fade. Even my worries seem to lie down and curl up in a corner somewhere. My breathing evens out, almost without me noticing. In, out, in, out. The bed creaks softly as I shift just enough to tuck my chin against the top of her head. She doesn't wake. She just sighs like her whole body is saying, "Yes, that's better," and lets herself go a little heavier. I think about tomorrow, just for a second. Not in a stressful way, just little things. Not big cinematic gestures, not grand romantic stunts, just maybe taking out the trash before she notices it's full. Maybe sitting a little closer on the couch. Maybe asking, "How's your head today?" instead of, "How was your day?" Maybe touching her shoulder when I walk by. Maybe saying, "I saw how hard you worked on that," when she finishes something. Tiny adjustments, little acts of noticing, no algorithm, no ranking system, just presence. My thoughts start to thin out, like fog in the early morning. They come slower, softer, until they're not really thoughts anymore, just impressions. Her warmth, the weight of blankets, the faint smell of her shampoo on the pillow, the quiet tick of the clock that I usually find annoying but tonight feels oddly comforting. I let my jaw relax. I don't even realize how tight it was until it loosens. My shoulders sink deeper into the mattress. My legs feel heavy, solid, like they belong to the bed more than to me now. There's a last flicker of self-consciousness. Am I doing this right? Am I being a good husband? And then, like a quiet answer floating up from somewhere deep inside, I hear my own thought. I'm here. I'm trying. I'm listening. For tonight, that's enough. The room doesn't argue. She doesn't let go of my hand. The night doesn't ask for anything more. My breath keeps its steady rhythm. In, out, in, out. The thoughts drift farther apart until there's only warmth and weight and the soft, simple knowing that even with all my questions and worries and ridiculous late-night searches, somehow, incredibly, I am loved. And in that quiet knowing, I finally let go. Not into a panic, not into a spiral, just into sleep.